Latex Academy. My name is Jaime Granillo. I'm the category manager for Spicer's Paper. Our presenters this morning from HP is Linda Michaels and Timothy Mitchell. If you have any questions during the presentation, please enter them in the chat and we will answer them at the end of the training. And I'd just like to thank you for joining us, and I'll pass it along to you, Linda.
Okay, so my name is Linda Michaels. I'm what we call a partner business manager. So I work with Spicers, and we're going to have Timothy present this Latex Academy out of his wonderful studio garage in Alpharetta, Georgia. So like Jaime said, put questions into the chat, and also we'll unmute everybody at the end so you can also ask questions that way too. So go ahead, Tim.
Did you hit record?
Yes.
Oh, Timothy's on mute.
Unmute Timothy.
How's that?
That's
there you
good.
go.
Perfect. Okay. And it is recording to the cloud. Hi, everybody.
Good morning.
Sorry to put my big head in the camera. My monitor's up there, so in order to see, I have to get close to the camera. My name is Timothy Mitchell. I work for HP. This December, next month, will be my 10th anniversary. So 10 years working for HP, exclusively with latex. So I've been with HP since the very first latex printers came out. It has been a little more than 10 years, but I was involved in the Latex 65500 and the Latex 25500, both Gen 1 first printers we ever produced in this technology. I'm going to explain that technology. We're in Gen 3 now. We have the newest, latest, and greatest. We've been doing latex printing now for over 10 years. It's a dominant market technology. It was a real game changer. It disrupted the whole market. In my opinion, it's a two-horse race. You have UV and you have latex. I think everything else I would consign to the past or to a niche role. Latex is actually technically not latex. It's a name we invented because synthetic resin copolymer does not trip off the tongue. Nobody would remember that. So we put our best people together and they said, hey, why don't we call it latex? Now, it doesn't have anything in common in, like with latex paint. There's no latex allergies to this ink. It is a resin-based ink. They might introduce that now as a category, but we've been really the only company that has developed latex technology. Synthetic resin copolymer is combined with water. This is a strictly water-based ink, pigments, and then humectants, which wet the nozzles. So it's a very simple ink. Now, it's simple superficially. The complexity of the ink itself, the colloidal suspension and how we create latex is one of the most complicated chemistries on earth. We have our own ink chemistry teams. We manufacture and invent new inks. We are, in a sense, an ink innovation, ink chemistry company. We combine that with our print heads, which are thermal print heads. We are one of the few companies to use thermal print heads because, well, we invented them and we have all the patents on them. Us and Canon, oddly, Canon developed their thermal print head at exactly the same time, which is very strange. But there you go. Canon and HP use thermal print heads. The thing about thermal print heads is they really only work with water-based ink. So if you want to run solvent, no go. That was our obstacle. We are a thermal print head manufacturer. We can invent ink, but in order to run solvent, you need a piezo print head, and we don't get involved in piezo print heads. We don't manufacture piezo print heads. Piezo print heads are what you need to run solvent. That's what you need to run UV. We are a thermal print head company. So we had our ink team work on this for a number of years, and they came up with synthetic resin copolymer, which we call latex. It's a water-based ink. The print heads are characteristic of HP. They have certain characteristics. One is user replaceable. So you pull the little lid, handle, lift them up, put them in, take them out. You can do that yourself. So I have an extra set or two of print heads sitting on the shelf at all times, ready to go. They're also inexpensive. In the US, they're about $130, $135. Okay, so they're not thousands of dollars. And you don't have to call somebody in to replace them. You can do all that yourself. The print heads are all 12 picoliter drop. 1200 DPI. So high resolution, fast or slow, 4 pass, 10 pass, 20 pass, all 1200 DPI. We don't change resolution to go lower res as you're going faster. 12 picoliter drop, user replaceable, high resolution, inexpensive, and very durable. This print head is something we invented because we're a print head manufacturing company. In fact, everything on this printer is HP, except one little device, which I'll show you in a second. The print head's HP, ink, HP, electronics, HP, software, HP, firmware, HP, wiring, HP, waveforms, HP, manufacturer, HP. We are one of the few companies that makes the whole thing. Not just we buy print heads from one company, we buy ink from another, we buy software here and we put them together. Okay, we're not an assembler. We're a unified vertical manufacturer. All the software, all the hardware, everything is HP. So we test all the components to ensure that they work in harmony together. We're not letting you figure that out for us. We figured that out. And once we developed latex, what it gave us was, and this is the key, up to then, if you had water-based inks, they printed beautiful. One big drawback. When you printed them, you needed a coated, aqueous coated material. Latex does not require that. In fact, I have the largest third-party media library of any product ever in digital printing. And latex can go outdoor. And it can go outdoor for long periods of time. We have, for example, a 7-year warranty with 3M. Have it right here. 3M, IJ180. This is your vehicle wrap film. 3M gave us a 7-year warranty. We have 10 to 13 years on highway traffic signage. So if you want to do highway, reflective engineering grade, high intensity, diamond grade, 10 to 13 there, 7 on the vehicle wraps. That's 3M's warranty. To my mind, everyone plays the same with that warranty. You print, you laminate, you give it to 3M, 3M puts a stamp on it. We have the longest warranty of any of our competitors. That is the true testament for how outdoor durable it is and how color fast it is. So if anybody says, well, you can't really print with water-based inks outside, my answer is, then how come I have a 7-year warranty that 3M gave us? We didn't make it up. What's your warranty? 5? Our outdoor color fastness is better than the eco solvents. We also have the best-in-class scratch and scuff resistance. So in my case, when I print on it, I almost never laminate unless it's a vehicle wrap or long-term outdoor. Some wall graphics, gym, medicine balls, okay, put a laminate on it. Floor, I want to have an anti-slip laminate, okay, laminate it. But almost everything else I do not laminate because the scratch and scuff resistance on Gen 3 latex is outstanding. Couple examples. This on the floor here, this is Jessup TexWalk. It is a unlaminated textured floor graphic. I have had this here for 6 months. I step directly on it. I see no issues with it whatsoever. Now you could do a liquid laminate on this if you wanted a little more durability, but for most people, you're just fine the way it is. It's meant to be a short-term floor graphic, but because our scratch and scuff is very good, it's actually become a very long-term floor graphic. This is probably even a better example. This is not a rug. This is a cheap mat that I found in a crate. And then I found another one in a crate. So I trimmed them down, got some high-resolution images of Oriental rugs, and I squeegeed, I think it's Avery 2903 matte, no lamination. I've been walking on these, stepping on them, dragging printers across them since March. They're perfect. There's not a scratch on them because the scuff and scratch resistance on latex is outstanding. So I would probably tear into the mat before I would actually scratch the material. To give you an idea of just how good it is, let me show you this. This is Ganesh or Ganesha. And this is HP durable, PVC-free suede, and there's also a smooth version. Okay, this is a wall covering. It is a true Type 2 wall covering, PVC free. So if you're into wall coverings in the US, type 2 means it's a commercial grade. It's a designation of a type of wall covering you would use like in a hotel. Now, the thing about type 2 is just because the wall covering's type 2, if you print on it, well, then the surface changes. We can meet type 2 expectations with no lamination, printing directly to this PVC-free wall covering, smooth and suede, with no laminate. And nobody has that. We're it. That's how good the scratch and scuff is. Type 2 is ketchup and mustard and coffee and tea and cleaners and scratch tests, and it's a long list. It is very difficult to print onto anything and meet type 2 expectations without a laminate. That's how good our scratch and scuff resistance is. So we have excellent outdoor durability for color fastness, and then excellent scuff and scratch resistance. What that gives me is the ability to print on things like 6 mil matte wall covering, and then just stick it up on the wall and skip the lamination. So I forego lamination as often as I can because it saves me money and it saves me fuss, because I am a bad laminator. I am the person that runs the laminator when the person that runs the laminator calls in sick. And then you print 2 of everything because it's not going to go well. Okay, I'm not going to learn the laminator. I'm old enough and I've tried enough times. I'm never going to be very good at it. I've used very expensive laminators. I'm still not good at it. So for me, I'm going to waste material if I laminate. But if I can skip lamination, that's fantastic, because it saves me money and it saves me the embarrassment of, at my age and having been in the business for 30 years, still being that poor running a laminator. You know, my wife, who is not in the industry, can run a laminator better than I can. And that all revolves around our ink and our print heads. It's a new revolutionary ink, or at least it was 10 years ago. It is now the dominant ink technology in our category. Another couple things that are really great about latex. I'm running some images back here. I have the other camera going and I'll zoom into that in a second here. This is a material, it's an HP vinyl film. It's called HP Prime GP. I just loaded it in. And what I'm doing here is I'm creating, this printer has a built-in spectrophotometer. This is the one piece on the printer that's not ours. It belongs to X-Rite. But it's our color software. It's our electronics. We hook this up to the printer. It runs right on the printer carriage. And that allows me to print things like what I'm printing right now, which is a color calibration chart. Now it says okay, and that's great. So I'll forward it and kind of show you what it looks like. We have a huge media locator, which is all of the medias that we carry online. It's huge. I think it's like 1,200 individual presets for different medias now. This is just one of many. So I loaded this on the printer earlier today. I downloaded it right in the front printer panel. You can download it right from the printer. And then once I did that, I did color calibrate. What color calibration does is it uses the onboard spectrophotometer and the 365, which is what I have here, and the 500 series have the spectrophotometer built in. The 315 and the 335 do not. They use a line sensor, though, to do a very similar thing. So this chart here, which I'll zoom in a second with the other camera, this chart here is what I just printed because I just downloaded it. And in a sense, what I'm doing is using a sophisticated color tool to exactly measure the color on this printer at this time. And it goes from saying recommended to okay. And now I can print and print. If I change a print head, it'll go from saying okay to obsolete. We will recommend you do the color calibration again. Color calibration dials a printer's color to itself over time. Let me give you an example. Customer comes in and he says, I want you to print my corporate orange, or better yet, my corporate, well, I have corporate orange there and I have corporate red on there. Here, I'll actually use the other camera and kind of zoom in so you can see it. That's why I have it. I'm just a one-man band, and sometimes it takes me a while to do the zoom in. Spotlight video. There you go. So what I'm doing right now is I've got an orange and I've got a red. And the orange and the red are swatches that I did to match the customer's color. Okay, so I've really dialed in their Pantone colors. Everything is exactly the way it's supposed to be. Now that I've done that, I want to print his job. But before I print his job, I want to do a color calibration like I have here, because I'm going to do a bunch of panels. And today I'm going to do his truck. And this red and this orange are going to be right on. Well, he comes back in 6 months and says, you know, I damaged a panel. Can you replace it? You know how hard it is to color match something like that 6 months later. All you do is hit color calibrate. This chart gets done. And the idea is it dials you back into the date, which is today, that we built that, so it maintains color consistency over time. It also does it between printers, printer A, printer B, printer C. We have an onboard color software that handles all that. And that is built into the Latex technology, which is pretty cool. We're the only company that has any of that also. And one of the reasons really is we have our own color software, our own color engineers who are capable of doing that kind of thing. You know, you can't just, hold on a second. You can't just put a spectrophotometer on a printer and expect it to do anything. You have to hook it up to the color algorithms and the color chemistry software so that you take that data and then you do the adjustment so that you can print consistency. That's something that's unique to Latex. That's something that we do that nobody else does. In fact, the printer has the ability, because of that spectrophotometer, and I think this is really a great thing, you can build completely your own color work. This is, when people say a profile, profile's, you know, one piece of, technically, you see the big bottom swatches there? That's a profile. That's an ICC profile. What's on top there is a closed loop color calibration. The whole thing is called a preset, of which a profile is just one part. But all of this can be done on this, and you can load up a media that we've never seen before. You know, a guy comes around in a white van and says, hey, Bob, I got a great deal on inexpensive adhesive vinyl. And you go, okay, I'll take it. And then you go and say, well, I don't know what kind this is. Who cares? Load it on the printer, start with 12 pass. I have a video to walk you through it. You can build using a 365 or a 500, all your own color, including the ICC profile. It'll print beautiful. It's all built into the printer. You can use generics. You can use the ones we have on the media locator, or you can clone them and rename the ones into something else, or you can go build your own from scratch. It'll take you 45 minutes. Very, very easy. That's something that we created, nobody else has. The printer has some accompaniment, some supporting tools. One of them is, this is the first print I did today. That color chart is the first thing I ran. I actually ran the swatches yesterday. This ensures, this funny looking black box ensures that what I just printed looks perfect. I didn't even check it. I know it's fine. Because this is called an optical drop detector. The printer came out of hibernation. It hasn't run in a day. The first thing this does is says, fire a nozzle. Is it working? If the answer is yes, we move on. If it fires a nozzle and it's not working after 2 attempts, it will replace it with another nozzle automatically. It detects the functioning of the nozzle, and if the nozzle's not functioning, it maps a reserve nozzle into that location without you having to know it's doing it. If enough nozzles are missing in a cluster, it'll throw you a warning message and say, you have an image quality problem. We recommend you either do a printhead cleaning, or if the printhead is old enough, replace the printhead. Do a cleaning. Oh, it went away. The printhead itself, because of the way we design them, and this is the elegance of thermal printheads, they have far, far, far more nozzles than we need. They have huge redundancy. We have 2,012 nozzles, 2,112 nozzles on our printheads. That's far more than anybody else. I mean, it's not even close. So if a nozzle's out, we have another nozzle. Nozzle's out, we have another nozzle. We keep doing this until we're out of nozzles. And then you replace the printhead. Also, the cost of this printhead is built into our pricing. When we give you pricing, for example, I have a 365 behind me. The 365 includes the cost of the print head, and it includes the cost of the maintenance cartridge. They're built in. Ink, most of our competitors just tell you ink. We say ink, cleaning cartridge, print head. Why? Because they're all technically consumables. You're going to replace ink most, and then periodically you're going to replace the maintenance cartridge, and then periodically you're going to replace a print head. And we have a rough estimate life on all three. And we can track all that in our accounting software. So when we say 21 cents a square foot, we don't just mean ink. We mean ink plus print head plus cleaning cartridge. That is an all consumable, and I think an honest price for what it costs to do business. We're not going to pretend that you don't have a big waste container like in solvent. We don't have the waste container, but they do. How much ink is going in there? They don't know. 20%? What about the print heads after 3 years? As you get them, they're deteriorating and they run slower and slower to hide banding, and then you have to replace them, and it's very expensive. Maybe $1,500 a print head, plus someone has to come out and you got to charge them. So let's say you need to replace 2 print heads and you have to have somebody come out, and they're like, oh, it's going to be $4,000. Well, you have to calculate that in the cost of operation for the last 3 years. We don't have that. It's all built in. We assume you're going to replace print heads in a regular cycle. They're inexpensive. You can do them yourself. And we assume you're going to use a certain amount of ink. We assume you're going to go through a certain amount of maintenance cartridges, which is basically just head capping. And all of that's in our accounting software, which I'll show you in a second. So those are some of the key features that I think set us apart from everyone else. Water-based ink, automatic nozzle mapping. I have this sort of, my vest on, and I've got I've rolled up my sleeves, but I could wear a 3-piece suit and run these printers. I never get ink on me. It just isn't part of my routine. If you get a latex printer and you put it in this space, it becomes a studio. Solvent printer, it would be a garage. Also, if you get a 560, you'll get a plant. A plant will just appear there because it really, classies up the garage into a design studio. Latex is water-based. It can run all day in here, and I'm not concerned about breathing it. I'm not concerned about my health. I'm not concerned about mercury. I'm not concerned about hazardous warning labels. I would definitely be concerned if this was a solvent printer, because then I would be filling my little 20 by 20 space with fumes that I would definitely notice. I would have an air scrubber, and I would have a hole in the wall with a tube axial fan that is pulling those fumes outside, because otherwise I got to put up my garage door, and that's going to change my whole climate in here. I live in Georgia. It's either raining and humid or it's cold, and neither of them works for my printer. I'd rather have my nice, comfortable space. So don't worry about the health concerns because I'm using water-based inks. I would definitely worry about that with a solvent. Look, it's nice that we're saving the planet. These are sustainable, they're green, they support all the Forest Stewardship Council initiatives. These are Green Guard Gold certified printers. We've always had the best environmental signature. For me, it's about being in a room, in an office, or in an enclosed space and running them all day and not making myself or my family sick. And latex has always been the environmental choice in that respect. So running this thing all day, I'm not in the least bit concerned. Now I have it sort of hooked up over here to a cutter. I'll turn my camera there. The cutter is a Suma HP powered cutter. We integrated the cutter into a print and cut system that supports the printer, the cutter, and the software. 3 different companies, but all built around one single HP initiative. So everything works perfectly in harmony together, and they're not like, oh, this is the printer's problem, it's the cutter's problem, it's the software's problem. We take responsibility for the workflow. It all works flawlessly, and it's all based on barcodes. So everything scans everything, and it just works on a perfect seamless barcode environment. I'm not going to focus too much on the print and cut today. I have usually a separate presentation that's just print and cut focused, but the print and cut is a very nice workflow, and there's a lot of value to it. It gives you, because see, if I'm running adhesive vinyl, I'll send a job in a second here. If I'm running adhesive vinyl and it's, you know, decals or something, those are going to be cut. So I need a cutter of some kind to be able to finish them. I don't want to do it by hand. I don't do any of that by hand. Everything that I have here, I've got my Ganesh again. This is perf cut and it's kiss cut, so that what I give the customer is a nice square and they can just peel it right off and stick it on the wall. Since I don't really need to laminate very much, most of what I do for decals are just as is. Cool about latex too, when you print off it, everything is completely dry. No need to wait. If you do laminate, you don't have to wait to laminate. Everything that comes off that printer is good to go. So let me send a job so you can at least watch it printing in the background, and I'll zoom in on it. I just did the color calibration because I downloaded a new media. The color calibration is what we recommend to do when you download a new media. Actually, what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to switch to the software view, and I'll kind of walk you through some of the software. Now, most of our printers are paired up. The 315 and the 335, if you order just the printer, it comes with a version of Flexi Rip, SAI Flexi. That's our partnership. The 365 now comes with a 1-year subscription version of Flexi. And any of our print and cut bundles, you get the cutter, the printer, as well as the software, which is pretty close to the full version of Flexi 19. And then it comes with Flexi Designer as well. So you can lay everything out and design it and put your contour marks and all that. And you can print from the rip. And here's the other cool thing, upgradable, open architecture. So, you know, you're not just stuck with HP products. Guy said to me yesterday, hey, I've got this Mamaki cutter that, you know, I don't see any, it still works great. Can I run? Yeah, just call Flexi. They'll give you the driver. You can run the Mamaki cutter off the software we give you with our printers. Because, yeah, why not? It's not proprietary. That's between you and Flexi. The software is upgradable. It's open architecture. You own it, except in the case of the 365 subscription version. That's a 1 year. But anything with the print and cut, it's owned. All of that print and cut versions, you own it. It belongs to you. It's upgradable, open architecture, and expandable modules. So if you want to grow as a business and add more printers and cutters, great. That's between you and Flexi. So we're not giving you some dead end version that doesn't do very much, that you can't upgrade and only runs 1 HP printer and 1 HP cutter. Nah, you can keep upgrading as you see fit. Just work with Flexi. They're a third-party company. They would love to upgrade their software. Okay, let me walk you through some of that because I think there's a lot of stuff there. And I also think you might be interested in some of the other software that helps support our message. Because latex isn't just the printer. Screen share. Latex is also all of the things that you can do with it. And that really comes down to our own software, which is called PrintOS. And PrintOS, think of PrintOS like a giant shopping mall. And inside the shopping mall are a whole bunch of stores. And some of the stores you like better than others. Some of the stores are essential to you. And then what you do then is you go up here, and it lists all the stores you can go to. Here, for example, is the media locator. This is how, for example, I showed you how to go get media. We have an enormous library of media here, and the way you do it is you use a filter. And I have a 365, but all the latex printers you see are here. And let's say you said, you know, Tim, I heard you talking about heat transfer film or fabric, digital printed fabric. Simple. Applications, heat transfer film. Scroll down. There we go, heat transfer material. Hit apply. So now what we're doing is filtering by printer, and then these are all our heat transfer films. We have 14 of them, certified, most of the big names, Caesar, Chemica, Polytape, and you can download these here, or you can go right to the front panel of the printer and download them there. We have at the moment an enormous library. So if you choose printer model, I have 1,145 medias that have been tested and approved for HP latex on this printer. If you want to search by media brand, great. Manufacturer, everybody's in there. I mean, it's huge. So let's start with, say, Avery. There's Avery, hit apply. I already know the answer to this. There's 44 medias in Avery's portfolio, and I use a lot of them. And you have pages and pages of them. So if you find what you want here, like I use this wall film all the time. It's called crushed stone. I use it for walls and floors. I can either download it here, because you can actually go get it here and you put it in the printer, or you can download it from the panel. These are almost all third-party medias. It is a huge library, and considering all the types of applications we support, canvas, backlit, fabric backlit, durable fabrics, the list is enormous. And for that reason, we have them listed. And then you can look for them for different, depending on how you want to structure your search. Durable textiles is a textile development we worked with to give us the most scratch and scuff resistant textiles we could and still maintain a soft, uncoated feel. Well, there's 37 of them. Auric textile, this Digi Stretch I use a lot. Liam Blackout is excellent. Ultraflex. And so if you're looking for the best scratch and scuff fabric for these printers to do, say, silicon edge graphics, land here, find what you want, reach out to the company or their distributor, order a roll, download it into the printer, load the roll on the printer, you're good to go. We figured everything out for you. You don't have to reinvent it all. We already did. PrintOS also has a whole bunch of other features in it, like a knowledge center, forum in English and Spanish to ask questions, information on all the printers themselves, applications. So I mentioned heat transfer a little bit earlier. Click on applications. Oh, not today. Well, application seems to be stuck, so we'll come back to that. This is the interface to the printer. This is called the embedded web server. The embedded web server is how I do, among other things, this is the IP address of the printer. This is how, among other things, I do accounting. So here's how you do accounting, cost assignments. I have a new media, I think. I don't see it on there. So let's do this. Add substrate cost. I'm going to choose the media that's on the printer, and it happens to be HP Prime Gloss Air GP. That's what's on here. And it's 54 inches, and it's 150 feet. And it's, let's just say it's $200, and I write a little description. And whatever media you do, you hit apply. Now it's on there. Then what I do is I put in the amount of ink and I add three things. First, the ink, $135. Then I add $20 for the expected life of the printhead and $10 for the expected life of the maintenance cartridge. So I have a full price of $165 all in. See, if you're using this to do your costing, I can't have you putting in wrong data because it would undermine your ability to know what things cost. I need you to have the right costing. Otherwise, you can't charge the right amount for your products and it's hard to make money. Now that you know your costs, you go to accounting. Every job, every time we run one is on here. So if I ran this prime, this was the tiling version, so it's not seeing it, but then I'm going to run another job in a second here. Every time you run a job and whatever media, I had some 3M earlier, it says that's exactly how much ink you used, and that's the substrate cost, and it's a total cost of $2.60. It used 5.6 square feet. Up here, export to Excel. If I want to look at the whole thing inside of an Excel sheet, I can break it all down. Every job, everything I run, I know exactly what everything costs. And you can drag this out to hundreds of jobs. I just have it curtailed at about 30. This also, if you download presets from the Media Locator, this is how you bring them in. This is how you bring them out. See, what's cool about this is, see that Jessup text walk right there? Right there. It's going to screw up. I made that because the printer has an onboard i1, right? So I loaded this textured floor graphic. I said 12 pass, I chose 120% density, and I, step 1, step 2, step 3, it's all automated. But it works great. And I made that, back in April. So I hit export. I can share that with anyone I want to. You can make things and share with me. I can make things and share with you. If you look online, you'll see a bunch of groups that share media profiles. Well, it's an OMS file. It's universal. It doesn't matter what RIP you have. Onyx, Caldera, Flexi, who cares? You import and export from here. And every media I made, if you see a bunch of these, I made myself because, I loaded them in. I have a specific kind of naming convention, so I know which ones are mine. I can share those with people, and you can share them with your customers. This Mojave is new. I built that. It's a wall graphic. That's something really cool about the printer, and there's a whole bunch of groups of people that share medias. I also even have some features on here. A OneDrive, I don't know where I put it. Yeah, right there. So I have a OneDrive that has a video library and a lot of other things, and then I put my OMS files on there, and you can search for them. So those are all built right into it. So I have a whole bunch of individual movies and OMS files and everything else, because if I'm going to make them, I may as well let people have them. That's in addition to supporting the media locator. So this thing has almost 12, has 1,140 something medias, and then I probably have another 1,000 medias. Nobody has anything like this. So if it's on a 3-inch core, we've probably printed to it, and it's supported by us. So my knowledge center, I'm sure, is back here. This is the knowledge center where you can get things like on applications. So I mentioned earlier heat transfer. We're very COVID focused at the moment, so among the categories, but these are all the different types. We have a whole bunch of walkthroughs. So if you said, I want to learn to do heat transfer, I want to print t-shirts, click apparel, scroll down. We have these things called cookbooks. They're all over here. This is customized clothing cookbook. This is basically giving you an explanation of what it is, and then you go get the PDF. The PDF initially describes proof of concept. Then it gives you some specs, duration, washability, all that. And then it lists the medias. So these are certified heat transfer media. I have, next to me here, I have a heat transfer press, and I have polytape. So there's my polytape. I actually have both of these. That's the blade we recommend using for the cutter. That's the temperature you set the heat transfer press to, and that's how long. And then you say, well, I still don't understand how to do it. There you go. We're going to walk you through all the steps. So you get it, you weed it, and then you use a vinyl transfer, lift it off the film, put it onto the sheet, put the sheet on the t-shirt, lift this up, put it to the temperature specified, 320 degrees, shut it, count to 15, lift it off, you got a t-shirt. We went through all the steps for you, and they're all in the Knowledge Center. So the more you use this, the more you'll know. And we have all these applications. We have a blog that has even more of them, including a whole bunch of certifications, trainings, ideas, videos. So here's Silicon Edge graphics. I mentioned that earlier. If you want to do Silicon Edge, my friend Ramon has a very nice video on how to do that. Speaking of videos, here I'll show you, I'll bump into it a little bit to give you the idea. So you're taking fabric, you put different types of edges, and then you're going to do a fabric stretch frame. And there's different ways you can do it. There's a couple different ways, and he goes over them. Speaking of videos, we also have HP support, YouTube, type in latex. If you don't type in latex, you get, well, I'll show you. All this stuff. Okay, I only care about latex. So I type in latex. There you go. Every single, there's like 250 of these things. Every subject imaginable. Edge to edge, reclaiming print head, manual cleaning, wiper roller, wall art suite, everything you need to know. Media, tips and tricks. And the more you search, So I mentioned earlier Latex Fabric. Type Latex Fabric, and there you go. Whole bunch of information on fabrics. This will definitely help your investigation. They're about 5 minutes long. They go over a bunch of different subjects. Then you have our partners, like Flexi, for example. This is a really cool video on what Flexi can do with what's called true shape nesting. So what you do with true shape nesting is, I'll get to a better one. Yeah, you're dropping in all these different images over here. Whoops. And then, you know, it automatically nests them for you and plays Tetris. And so you don't have to figure it all out, and it wastes the least amount of material possible. And that's all handled automatically in Flexi Designer, which supports the print and cut. Flexi Designer is like a version of Illustrator, and you can put the cut lines, contours, you can cut directly, just cut into a like red or black or white adhesive vinyl and skip the printer altogether and just do cut letters. You can put cut contours on everything. It's a software that supports the Flexi Rip. And the Flexi Rip comes with most of our printers, a version of it. There's a couple different versions. Flexi Print and Cut's a little bit different than the regular Flexi, but this is how this works. So there's my fruit circle, and I'm actually going to show you guys exactly how I bring something in. I brought in the fruit circle, okay, so I made this. And the fruit circle has a cut contour and a perf cut contour. So I'm going to do two things. I'm going to print it, and I'm going to have it prepared so that I can use the cutter. I'm also going to show you how to use a template. Templates are cool because I only have to do it once. So I got to create a new template. I'm going to say save as. This is the information I'm going to put in the template. I'm going to hit OK, and I'm going to name it. And I have a new vinyl, and it is HP GP. Oops, it's HP Prime GP. And it's no lam. I don't have laminate. It would be a little different if you put laminate on it. So I hit OK. Now that's new. First, I got to set my cut contour and my perf. I already have those numbers because I checked them a little earlier. I know that the ideal perf cut here would be 190, and I'm going to hit apply and hit OK. And then I know the ideal kiss cut's going to be 70, so I'm going to leave it right there, hit apply, hit OK. Next thing I'm going to do, the printer and the RIP communicate continuously. So it is updating the information from the printer to the RIP. And I'm going to put it in here, and there's the Prime Gloss Air GP. You have two speeds. 12 pass is a little slower, it uses a little more ink. Your saturation is going to be deeper. 8 pass 100 is almost your perfect production speed. It's a perfect blend of the right amount of ink and the right speed. So this is about 184 square feet an hour. It's the perfect setting for this. Then I got to make sure my color work, and HP or Flexi supports all of the Pantone color work. Well, that's obviously the wrong profile. So I want to go get the right profile, and you can see all the color work is stored in here. That allows you to ensure that you're always using exactly the right profile because we're very color focused for consistency and everything else. So there it is. There's the 8 pass right there. I'm going to leave this on 600. That's perfectly fine. 300 is fine as well. Now I got to figure out where am I going to send the cut file to the 54-inch cutter. If you had multiple cutters, they'd show up in there. And then over here, this is where you lay it all out. First, let's double check and send a signal to the printer and make sure we got the right width on there. It's actually a little bit bigger, so it linked up. It's a bidirectional communication. I'm going to put 1 inch between them because I'm going to perf and kiss. 5, all set. Everything looks right here. I like what I'm seeing. Now what I'm going to do is go up here and hit save. It's going to save that, and that, everything we just went through. Hit OK. See, now the next time I load this media on, all I got to do is walk up here and choose which one is my media. And it's choosing the media, it's choosing the settings for the cutter and everything else that I need. It's, in a sense, applying a template that I'm going to use over and over again. So these are all very different. This polytape is a heat transfer film. The settings are completely different. These two Mojave 6 and 4 mil are totally different. This is magnet, printing directly to magnet, O2O magnet, different. Each one of these is unique. And that's what you want to do, is if you use 5 different types of media with or without lamb, you want to very quickly just hit your preset, apply it, and you're good to go. So now I hit send. You'll see how fast this is. See, we're partnering with one of the best rip manufacturers in the world. You know, you can use Onyx as well. You can use Caldera as well. But we know that they're the kings of rips. We're the kings of printer and printer heads and printer ink. And then Suma is the king of cutters. So what we do is we work together in harmony with the two other best manufacturers to give you guys the best integrated product. And that's what this is. So I hear the printer turning on. I'm gonna stop sharing in a second once it warms up. It'll take about 45 seconds to warm up. It uses evaporative heaters. It removes the water and it activates the latex at the same time. A couple other things, I don't have really the time because there's just so much to cover in 1 hour as far as the entire operation of latex. But we also have a thing called Application Center. This is online. I highly encourage you to take a look at it. What this lets you do is you and or your customers can log in here, and then they can go in and say, if you support all this, they can go in and go, I want to make a poster. You click, I want to make a poster. It opens up and says, well, what size do you want to make the poster? Say, well, I want to make the poster 36 by 24. That's kind of a standard size. Oops, wrong size. 24 by 36. Most posters are portrait. And then it says, you want to learn how to tour? Nah, I got that. Are you doing anything COVID related? Because we got a whole ton of COVID related stuff all built in here. All you have to do is select it and put it in. Say, well, yeah, actually I am doing COVID related. It's an elevator sign. They want to put elevators up and they want to make sure only 3 people get in the elevators. We need signs for all that. Perfect. Scroll down, as you can see, our library here is huge and almost all of it is editable. Okay, it's not like this is just a fixed thing. I'll show you what I mean when I find my little elevator sign. I use this one because it's very handy and it illustrates the perfect. So you double click, saying, I'm going to scrunch it a little bit. I said, that's fine. Problem is the sign says 4, I need 3. Select it, go up here, delete, hit 3, hit update. Okay, now it's 3. You can change that. You can take the people out. You can change the color. You can change all the text, whatever they want. But see, the customer's doing this. They're logging in and changing it to whatever they want. So if they're happy with this, you hit final check. You as a print service provider have given them access to your website. This is integrated into your website. They log in. They have access to all these tools, objects. You can upload their files. They can upload their files. All that stuff is completely wide open. And then once they're done, you put your pricing in, they choose how many, and then you hit add to order. Okay, they've done this while you're asleep. You wake up in the morning and scroll up here and then hit refresh, and you're going to get an email and it says, I have an order that's waiting for your approval. And the order looks like that. It's an earlier one that I did. But you get the idea. So they're building files, making things, all this wall coverings, decals, cushions, posters, t-shirts, and every one of them has a unique set of walkthroughs depending on what you're making. And we make it so easy that your customers can do all this stuff. And that is part of PrintOS. PrintOS has a whole bunch of features. I can't deep dive them all because of the time, but this is a cloud-based PrintBeat. That's how I monitor my printer while I'm away. So if I'm busy, I'm upstairs, all my printers are on here, phone Android and Apple, tablets and PCs. So you can use any type of device, log in here and see the operation. These are all the printers in our demo center down the road. So the 1500 down the street, half an hour from here, is running this job. It's kind of cool, you know? I mean, you can monitor everything that's going on remotely. Any place you are, know what you're running, know how much ink you're using, all the jobs you've run, everything. And then it's all cloud-based and it's super granular. So if you really want to dig down, it'll show you everything that you're doing. I'll send the job again so that you can see it because it's already done. It doesn't take long at all. So hit send. You can queue them up, run a whole bunch of jobs in a row. And I'm going to stop screen sharing. If I can figure out how to do that. Stop share. And we'll go to Spotlight Video. So you can see everything that comes off the printer, it rolls through these heaters and then it's completely dry and ready to go. There's no tacky, there's no sticky, there's no wait time. If you want to go to the take-up reel, go to the take-up reel. If you want to cut it off and laminate it, cut it off and laminate it. If you want to install it, install it. This is dry. This is durable. It's not like sort of dry or it'll dry in a little bit, or if I hang it up for a while or I lay it on a table, it's good. I also have the barcodes on, which you see the barcodes are designed to go to this cutter. So I just scan, there's a button on the cutter. You press the button, it looks like a barcode. Press the button, put it in front of the barcode, tell it to go, I walk away. The printer prints unattended, the cutter prints unattended. It'll just keep finding barcode after barcode, and then I can go do my own thing. They're all dropped in the bucket when I'm done. Printer has a whole bunch of other kind of cool features. I'll show you a few while it warms up to do the next job. Where is it? These are called ink collectors. Ink collector is on the 365 and it is also on the 500 series. You can see mine are dirty. That means if you run mesh, flag banner, fabric that has open pores, anything where the ink is going to go through the material, you put these in. There's 2 of them. They only take about 30 seconds to put in. And that way, anything underneath the carriage, it just drops the ink right through the fabric. And then when you're done, you can replace these little blue pads over time. But I run them quite a while before I have to replace them. So it gives you the ability to run porous materials like porous fabric and porous mesh, no liner, and then still be able to do so without getting ink all over your printer. And these are called the ink collectors. 365 and 500 series carry them. You can see the chart a little bit better here now. This is a closed loop calibration. You're measuring ink restrictions per channel, and then you do your linearization. It's all done for you. You don't have to do anything. So it finished that last job. Now it's going to run the next job. This is your pause button. If you need to stop for any reason whatsoever, oh, it's a nice proofing window too. There's no heat there. The heaters are just here. They're very efficient. They're very fast. So I see the first ink laying down. It's got the barcodes. And what I'm going to do is say, oh, I'm going to move the edge guards out of the way. I don't want the edge guards on there. Ready? Bing, 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 bing. It'll do that. Move the edge guards out. Shut the window. Now, normally, if you were printing and then you stop the printer for any period of time and then it starts up again, what happens is what you printed starts to bleed. That doesn't happen with us. We invented a solution which is on the, it actually runs as ink and it's called Optimizer. The Optimizer is a cationically charged solution that pins the ink to the media. It runs just like an ink. It has its own print head. You only use a little bit of it. So like 10 to 1. So you need a tiny little drop of Optimizer that lands first. Then the ink comes right behind it and lands on top of the Optimizer. Holds everything in place. Now I don't need to worry if I stop or I lift it up or you run out of ink, for example. It'll start beeping. Now I'm monitoring, I'm upstairs, I'm eating lunch. I have my tablet in front of me. I have Print OS running Print Beat. I'm monitoring all the, let's say I have 5 printers. I'm monitoring all my printers. One of them runs out of ink. I see the notification. I go over to the storage room. I grab some ink. I walk down here. 15 minutes has gone by. It's beeping. I take the ink out, put the new ink. It warms back up again, finishes printing. I never notice where it stopped because the optimizer holds everything in place. The optimizer prevents the ink from bleeding. It pins it. Think of optimizer like sticky. We invented a sticky to hold everything down so it doesn't bleed, which is what the characteristic of ink would be if you just sort of let it sit there. It starts running for the exits. Now it can't run for the exits because it's held by a chemical bond to an optimizer. The ink is charged anionically. Cationic anionic relationship. It's pretty clever. Again, ink chemistry company. That's what we do, is invent clever ink. So this is finishing, and I run the next job and the next job. And then over here, I generally go to the cutter. I have a barcode. I already did my settings. If the barcode server is on, and I hope it is, barcode server on is effectively, it's communicating from the software to the printer, and it says, as soon as you send the barcode, we'll identify what job it is and we'll release it. And then once we release it, away it goes. And then out of sight, out of mind. It goes and finds all the registration marks. When it's done, it rolls forward and finds the next barcode. Now I'm going to switch gears a little bit again and switch cameras to the main one. Keeping track of my time. Spotlight video. The last thing I want to cover, and there's no, usually I have an whole hour that I just do this. You can see the cutter running in the background. It's doing its thing. You know, I don't babysit any of my tools. Printer prints. I go to the take up reel, send a whole bunch of jobs, go to the cutter, send a whole bunch of jobs, do something completely different. This is the list of medias that you can print to. You know, t-shirts, heat transfer film, all kinds of adhesive vinyls, window perfs, natural fiber fabric, so linen, cotton, jute. We have profiles for all that. Every kind of banner imaginable, and we have the ability to print double-sided banner with different images, because the 365 and the 560 have a tool in it's essentially software supporting a thing called an OMOS, where we can read registration marks so we know exactly where to put side B so everything lines up perfectly. All of your floor graphics, textured floor graphics, every kind of paper and poster paper, all the window type films, window perf, window cling, dry tack, which is like a suction cup film, all of those completely fair game. Clear window film, translucent window film, frosted window film, all kinds of oddball banners, natural fibers, Tyvek. Latex will print on anything. I mean, if it's on a 3-inch core, I can probably print to it. So raw Tyvek, nothing special, no special coatings, prints great. 100% recycled water bottle. This also prints beautiful. We print very well on every kind of wall covering, paper-based wall covering. We practically own the canvas market. Gloss canvas, matte canvas, semi-gloss, luster. Oh, what's also cool is if it says luster, we print to the coating. If it says gloss, we print gloss. If it says matte, where's my ugly dog? It's matte. It's not gloss on everything. All of your Phototex, peel and stick wall covering. This is Aurora Expressions certified, Phototex certified, Avery crushed stone certified, stucco certified. These are peel and stick wall coverings. Then we have your paste wall coverings, commercial industrial paste. HP has a very cool line of self-paste. Easy DIY, has its own adhesive on the back. Just get it wet, slide it in place. You want to go to commercial grade? Dreamscape, high performance suede. Certified, print on it, paste, call in the install team, they put it all together. I mentioned fabrics, solvent don't look like that. These are all durable latex fabrics. They print beautiful. They look a lot like dye sub, very high quality. So you're going to use that to do things like stretch frames. fabric, direct print, stretch frames, silicon edge graphics, frontlit, and I even have backlit versions. I have backlit banner, roll-up films. There's your durable backlit. All of that is available to the Latex applications library. Awnings. There's Sunbrella right there. Glenraven, Sunbrella, print directly to Sunbrella, Oxford white. Looks great. Want to do window block shades? Yep, we got that too. Different levels of window block shades? Yep. Vegan leather, printing directly to kind of, pleather. Actual leather. I don't know how they get a cow on a roll. Honestly, I don't even want to think about it. Somewhere in Spain, somebody figured out how to make a cow on a roll. I'm glad it's a long way away. I'm not taking a tour of that facility, but they did it and I can print on it. Because like I said, with very few exceptions, if it's on a 3-inch core, I can probably print to it. And we probably have a certified media profile or preset for it. And if we don't, that's right, you can make one yourself. Take 45 minutes. You don't even have to understand what you're doing. You just press the buttons. So that I think covers it. That's an extremely brisk tour of the printer technology, the software support technology, the cutter, and the applications that you can use.
Hey, Jaime, do you want to take everyone off mute to see if they have questions? You need to unmute everyone. You just muted everyone.
How does it print gloss on gloss, matte on matte?
Oh,
No, you
Still
muted.
gone. He muted himself. I think he muted himself.
Timothy, you're muted.
There you go.
there you go. How do I unmute? I think I might have muted him.
Click on his name on his screen, and I think you should be able to unmute him. He didn't.
There
Are
we
you
go.
a co-host?
No, I wasn't. That's why I couldn't do it.
Are you now?
No, but I
All right.
think I did it.
All right. Jaime, you're the despot. We have to have authoritarian control. Democracy is just chaos. I know where this mute thing is going. Believe me. So,
Lost it.
okay, the gloss thing, the question. The latex ink is neutral. So if you print to matte, it'll stay matte. If you went to IJ180, which is gloss, it will retain the gloss of the IJ180. So it tends to be, it tends to mimic whatever the media is. So a gloss canvas, it will be a gloss print. If it's a matte canvas, it'll stay a matte print. The ink isn't basically high gloss where no matter what you print on, it looks glossy, because that would defeat the purpose on a lot of materials. I like matte prints. I tend to like matte vinyl. I tend to like, now if you put an adhesive on something, obviously that's the final coat. But if I print to a matte vinyl, I want it to stay matte. Maybe I'm doing a backdrop for a television thing or whatnot. They don't want any gloss. That's what I meant by that.
Any other questions?
You can just
She's
unmute
fired,
yourself.
Joanne. She works for HP.
Linda does, yes.
Yes, I do. And I put my email in the chat. So if anybody has questions after the fact, you can pull my email out of the chat box.
I work for the betterment of humanity. How about that? through water-based printing.
Yes.
No, I mean that about the chemicals. I mean, I'm in that small space. You know, this garage, this glorified design studio garage is, you know, I got a little bit of air conditioning in the summer and I get a little bit of heat in the winter. So I don't want to have this door open. And if I had a solvent in here, I'd be like, okay, well, we got to figure out some way to move all these fumes because it's going to fill up in here quick. And with the water-based, I mean, I use a fan just to circulate the air really more than anything, but I don't, all you're going to smell, also latex has no odor. All you'll smell is some material, some adhesive vinyls when they warm up a little bit will have a like 3M translucent has a characteristic smell. 3M IJ180 has a little bit of a smell, but then as soon as it cools, it goes away.
Okay.
The temperature ranges anywhere from about 170 degrees to 241, with the average, I would say, for me being about 225. It's a nice little space heater in the winter.
I mean, that's where your next demo printer's going, to your garage.
That's right. That's right. I'm going to be here for a while, I think.
So do we have any other questions before we sign off here? Just want to make sure. If not, feel free to email us. Also, you can contact your local Spicer sales rep, who'll be happy to help answer any questions you may have and talk about the HP equipment. But I'd like to thank everyone for your time. Thank you for joining us on this webinar.
Thank you, Timothy.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Timothy.
Thanks. Bye, guys.
Okay, I muted everyone.